Hello gamers, this is Sai and welcome back to Which Way Games. Now why do scientists feel the need to look into places they really shouldn't?
And with that being said, let's get on with the video.
The world of science and horror have always gone hand in hand, especially when it involves space. The cold infinite void that could very well house intelligent life forms, or even worse, contain the very horrors that nightmares are made of. Now in the world of films, especially those back in the 80s and 90s, the heroes would usually be trigger-happy superhumans with a talent for killing the bad guys, saving the day, while using fantastic one-liners.
Hi, is that guy cone of phrase?
Some of these films are still regarded as classics. However, there's one franchise that not only took the role of heroism and turned it on its head, but also introduced a perfect combination of science with a dash of horror.
This would be the Alien franchise, with some fans it's a great testament to sci-fi and horror.
Being written by Dan O'Bannon and directed on the silver screen by Ridley Scott, Alien was released in 1979 with mixed reviews at the time of release, but eventually gained a following of loyal fans who loved the mixture of science fiction and horror. Alien tells the story of the crew and the horrific encounters with an alien known as a xenomorph.
Following the eventual success of Alien, a sequel was released known as Aliens.
Aliens continues the story of Ellen Ripley and her struggle for survival. However, unlike the first film, Aliens would be more focused on action and introduce a barrage of new characters that would play their parts in the story. Being directed by the legendary James Cameron, Aliens was very successful with both critics and fans of the film.
Now, as I've said in previous videos, successful films usually have video game tie-ins.
Both films have video game releases over various systems, but it wouldn't be until the release of Alien 3 that gamers got a classic of a game for 16-bit consoles.
This would be Alien 3, which was released on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive, or for my American subscribers, the Genesis. But before I carry on, let's go back to where it all started.
Being developed by Probe Software, no pun intended, the idea was to bring the world of Alien 3 into gamers' homes, but like most games at the time, platforming gameplay seemed the best way forward. Whereas the Alien films were mainly about suspense and horror, developers wanted Alien 3 to be more focused on action, very much like Aliens. With a variety of media such as comics to take inspiration from, game developers and artists wanted Alien 3 to stand apart from its movie counterpart. But when it came to the xenomorphs, these aliens had to come in a variety of styles. Although for the Sega Mega Drive, the aliens appeared that much larger than the Super Nintendo counterparts. And following on from this, it wouldn't be until June of 1993 that Alien 3 would be released for gamers to enjoy.
And like always, let's go back to the past to see how Alien 3 was advertised.
You grope through the darkness. Sweat soaks your shaved head. Your motion tracker flashes. You want to run, but if you don't destroy every acid-spitting xenomorph on the planet, the nightmare will never end. 3 times the suspense, 3 times the danger, 3 times the terror. Alien 3 from Acclaim.
The story of Alien 3 begins when a fire breaks out aboard a colonial marine spaceship. The computer launches an escape pod containing Ripley, Newt, Hicks and the damaged android called Bishop. All 4 are in stasis, however scans of the cryotubes indicate a queen facehugger was attached to one of the 4. The pod crash lands on 3161, a penal colony inhabited by male inmates only, and the inmates recover the crash landed pod as well as the passengers inside. It turns out that Ripley is the only survivor, but unknown to her and the inmates, Queen Facehugger scuttled off and has impregnated one of the inmates' pet dog. Eventually the penal colony starts to be attacked by an onslaught of aliens, and it's up to Ripley to put a stop to them. But what's this strange sensation in her chest, as if something inside is alive and growing?
Gameplay as gamers controlling Ellen Ripley, saving prisoners and taking down the alien threat.
Being a side-scrolling platformer, gamers will traverse through the prison colony, jumping on moving platforms, climbing ladders, crawling through tunnels, and searching behind every door in search of the alien menace. And of course, with a large arsenal of weapons at her disposal, Ripley clearly has a favourite, which just happens to be a flamethrower.
Now, who wouldn't want to have a flamethrower?
And in keeping with the Alien franchise, the motion tracker plays a key role in not only locating the trapped prisoners, but also the locations of the aliens. Throughout the stages, gamers will be able to obtain objectives through the terminals that will give the main mission, as well as side objectives.
A bit like Judge Dredd, but I'll come back to that in future videos.
And if gamers found the right terminal, blueprints for the prison colony became available, which certainly makes tracking down prisoners that much easier, killing various aliens even more enjoyable, and defeating the evil queen that much easier.
Obviously, the facehuggers are stuff of nightmares, and speaking of that, I did have the weirdest dream last night while I was being suffocated. Really bizarre. I just don't feel right. Oh. No more cheese before bed.
Coming back to the story, after battling her way through the penal colony, saving prisoners and defeating aliens, Ripley is clearly exhausted, but she's not quite done yet. She's somehow managed to corner the alien queen in a service corridor with only one exit. And inside this service corridor, there just so happens to be a pit with a very long drop to the bottom. Entering the control room, Ripley pauses to watch the alien queen for a moment, until movement within her chest reminds her of what she has to do. Activating the console, Ripley witnesses the alien queen being pushed back towards a pit, until finally it's thrown over the edge. Knowing that the alien queen is now dead, Ripley realises that she now carries a new alien queen embryo inside her chest, and decides that the only way to stop more aliens being created is by sacrificing herself to the furnace below. As Ripley falls towards the fiery lava of the furnace, the embryo queen bursts through her chest in a bid to survive. However, Ripley clutches the baby queen, taking it along with her into the warm embrace of death. This sacrifice stops the Whaling Corporation from turning the aliens into weaponized killing machines.
When released, Alien 3 was praised by critics and gamers that loved the gameplay, the soundtrack, and the complex level design over the various systems that it was released on.
However, with science and time, things may change. Both the Super Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive versions of Alien 3 followed the same style of gameplay, however they both look very different from each other. The Super Nintendo went for a more realistic approach, while the Mega Drive version felt a bit more like an arcade game. There was even an arcade version of Alien 3, however unlike its console counterparts, this took part in an altered timeline separate from the events of the film, which for some of the arcade gamers was hugely popular, especially for other games such as X-Men, Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat. Now some gamers are divided to which version of Alien 3 is better, and I must say in my opinion that I found the Sega Mega Drive port that much more enjoyable. With its more action-focused gameplay and great soundtrack, it was a blast to play, although the Super Nintendo port is enjoyable as well. Overall, Alien 3 is a fun game to pass the time with, especially if gamers are fans of the series. Over time, there are other games inspired by the world of the Alien franchise that expanded the universe of Alien, as well as allowing gamers to live out a secret fantasy of killing aliens. With some classics such as the Alien trilogy for the PlayStation and the underrated Alien Colonial Marines.
Anyway, come back next time when Banjo and Kazooie have to stop the evil Gruntilda from stealing youth and beauty from others, as well as saving the world. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next game.